Sunday. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I am Gina from Advantage College Planning. I am excited to be here tonight because we are going to be talking about ChatGPT and the college essay. So we'll give everybody a little bit of time to come in. I know this is a really busy time for high school seniors as they are working on college essays. Some students are finalizing their essays, and some students are just getting started on essays. So I thought this would be a great time to talk about ChatGPT and different ways that students can use ChatGPT in the application process, and then also some things to look out for that could be some pitfalls with using this new technology. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, ChatGPT and the college essay. I am excited to be here when I am also back in North Carolina. So for those of you who logged on a couple of weeks ago and I was stuck up in the Newark, New Jersey area, I did make it home. So I am back in my normal setting for these types of sessions. Happy to be home. So great. I'm so glad to see everybody here. Go ahead in the chat and just let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you're from, where your students are from. Advantage College Planning has offices all over the US. Our primary location where I'm located is here in the Raleigh Greater Triangle area. We have offices in North Raleigh and Apex, but we do have franchises all across the US in the Bay Area, in California, up in Maine, Buffalo, New York, down in Orlando, Florida. So a little bit of everywhere. Yay, we've got Maine in the house. Awesome. Pat's here. Great. Yeah, so we work with students all over. So we really just wanted to get the message out tonight about ChatGPT, college essays. I know some students might be feeling a little bit stressed because those deadlines are coming and maybe they've got some writer's block, maybe they're feeling stuck, maybe they've got a really solid personal essay, but some of those supplements have them stumped. So those are going to be some of the things that we'll be talking about tonight with the college essays and using this new technology, ChatGPT. So let's go ahead and get started. As always, you can put your questions in the chat. I see we've got some local people tuning in. Awesome, Carrie and Raleigh. So go ahead in the chat as we're going through. If you have any questions that come up, put them in there. I'll see them. Sometimes I'll answer questions as I'm going through. Sometimes I'll answer them at the end. We will have time for Q&A at the end as well. Great. All right. So let's just go ahead and jump right in and get started on this Sunday evening. Let's talk about technology, the college essay, ChatGPT. So for those of you who are not familiar with this new technology, ChatGPT is a specific type of artificial intelligence or AI. There are different ones out there, but ChatGPT is just the ones that a lot of my students tend to be most familiar with. Students and other people are able to use this platform to ask it questions, and then it will provide you an answer. You can do anything with ChatGPT. It's pretty great. I've asked it for recipe ideas and meal planning, but most of my students are now thinking about how can we use this in the college application process? Or students are also sometimes thinking about how they can use this academically. So because this is a new technology, it is a little bit of the Wild West. So there's not a lot of hard specific rules around using AI and ChatGPT because it's new. So it is a little bit gray. There aren't any explicit general restrictions within the common application around using ChatGPT. Individual colleges may have their own policies though. And so just like anything else, when we're talking about college admissions and the higher ed process, students really do need to be aware of the individual policies that the schools that they're applying to may have around using technology like ChatGPT, just like they need to know what the deadlines are and if they offer an early decision deadline, right? It's just another piece of college specific information that students need to have. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is just going to be keeping it general. Again, we're not going to get super college specific, but that is something that if you do have questions about specific schools that you or your student are applying to, I would direct you to both those colleges' websites, their admissions pages, and then when in doubt, you can reach out directly to the admissions office as well with your specific question. But thinking generally, when students are looking to use AI in writing their college essays, there are definitely some ways that they can use it to their benefit. And there's also some really common pitfalls. So before we get to the benefits, let's talk about the possible pitfalls. For those of you who haven't played around with this yet, like my colleagues and I have, there are some common themes that we find when we were running different prompts and different topics and different ideas through ChatGPT. A few common pitfalls did come up. The first one is that if a student puts in a prompt, let's say they take one of the common application prompts about a challenge that they've overcome, and they put in just a little bit of information about the challenge that they themselves have overcome. And they ask ChatGPT to write a college essay about overcoming this specific challenge. What usually we're seeing is that the message ends up being a bit generic, which makes sense, right? This is a bot. This is a robot culling information that is out there on the internet and putting together an essay for a student. So what we end up with is broad general comments, not very specific or in-depth reflections, right? And information that just keeps it very surface level, which there are many students who submit application essays that don't go very deep and are surface level. I would say that those essays aren't going to really hurt a student, but they certainly don't help, right? So if a student was kind of on that bubble that we've talked about, and that essay could either help push them over into that admit pile because they have a really compelling story or not, this generic ChatGPT essay is not going to be the thing that helps them and pushes them across into that admit pile. The second issue that we see, which is a really big deal, are false or inaccurate details that are included in the story. So again, ChatGPT is just going and culminating very quickly all of this data and all this information it can find to create an essay. So sometimes what might happen is you could have an essay that's including details and experiences and information that are absolutely not true, have nothing to do with you or your personal experience. And as we've talked about before in other essay writing sessions, you want to make sure that the information you're presenting is true. There is absolutely never any reason to falsify or embellish or expand inaccurately on any kind of experience in your college essay. So if you're looking at using ChatGPT, that's a big thing that you have to look out for, is make sure that the information that's being presented is true and correct for you. Another thing to keep in mind, and that what my colleagues and I have found, is that the response that you receive from ChatGPT is only as good as the prompt that you give it. So you have to be, in order to get something really nuanced, you have to be very thoughtful about how you are asking for that information. So that's important to keep in mind. I've had some students who have said, oh, well, I wanted to run my essay through ChatGPT and ask it to be more professional, right? Or sound more intellectual. And they use these terms. Then what ends up happening is we get this essay that sounds like it was run through the garden, the thesaurus garden, in the worst possible way. So again, if we go back to all of the things that we've shared around writing a really strong college essay, it's that this essay needs to sound like the student. And so if we send the essay through and ask ChatGPT to change it to sound more professional, we're going to have a lot of lingo and terms that are not common language that the student is using. So those are some pretty common pitfalls that we have found. When we're thinking about using ChatGPT for good, right? And in a good way, not for evil, but for good. We always need to come back to, what is the purpose of these essays to start with? The purpose of your personal essay, the main big common application essay, 650 word maximum essay, is about the student, right? So I know I usually have parents on here. Facebook is not for the young, I understand, but if I have any students on here who are listening with your parents in the background, the point of the college essay is to get to know you, right? It's supposed to be written in your voice. It's supposed to tell your story. It's supposed to highlight your values. You're awesome. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are unique. You are fabulous. You don't need to have some crazy, out of the box, insane life story in order to tell the story of who you are, because who you are every day, getting up and showing up in your life for the people who care about you and going and getting through your days and overcoming your day-to-day challenges, that's the good stuff, guys. That's the magic. That's where these essays really shine. So when you're asking a robot essentially to do that talking for you, it's going to fall flat. There is absolutely no way that a piece of technology could ever tell your story better than you can tell it. So you just need to know that, and you need to trust yourself. The second type of essays that a lot of my students right now are working on are their supplemental essays. So those are the shorter essays that students have to write that are college specific. Many of these are a prompt similar to a why us essay. So my colleague Jamie and I joined up on a Facebook Live a few weeks ago and talked all about the why us essay. So if you missed that one, definitely go find that video. It's saved on our Facebook page. But the why us essays it's a common theme, right? Why are you interested in our college? But as Jamie and I discussed, those essays need to be really specific. That should not be an essay where if you just copy and paste different college names and have the essay still make sense, then that's a bad essay, right? We want each of those essays, sure, they can follow similar themes. You know what you're looking for in your college experience and what's going to make a school a good fit for you broadly and in general. Great. Use that as your template. But the specific details and information about how you're going to engage at each of those institutions, that needs to be different. So the why us essays also need to be unique. They need to be personalized to the school. But what takes those why us essays from a grade of like a B, I tell my students this, a why us essay that I can just cross out one college name and throw in another college name and the whole essay makes sense, that's a C essay. You can submit it. You're going to get credit for it. You'll be able to submit your application. Is it going to do you any favors? No, but it'll be done. But it's not really going to help anything, right? A B essay is one that is more specific to each college. I can't just copy and paste the different college names. It's clear that you've done some research and you've written some very specific information about each of these different schools. Solid. B. You're doing well. If you want to get an A on that essay and really make your application actually stand out from the big pool of B's and C's, then what you need to do is you need to make all of those great, unique aspects of that college that's drawing you in, you need to make those connect back to you. How will you use those opportunities at that school? Why are those opportunities or the aspects of that school, why are those important to you? And how will you use them to make your own personal college experience better and to better the college community around you? That's how you get an A on that essay. So again, using a bot to write about that, you're going to fall short. You're going to end up at best case scenario at a B, but you're not going to get an A on that essay because it's not going to have the special sauce. It's not going to have that specific bit of information about you. The third type of within the supplements, so there's a third type, it's kind of like supplements and then supplement B. So the most common supplement is the YS, but there are other supplemental essay topics that can range from things that are kind of open, like a few different schools this year are asking students to talk about what brings them joy, right? Which I love that topic. University of Vermont for a while has had an essay about if you were a flavor of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, what flavor would you be and why, right? So clearly these colleges are trying to get to know you. That's not something that a bot can write. So that's how it's not going to work. So if you have logged into this Facebook Live and the first thing you were hoping is that I was going to tell you, yeah, you can totally use ChatGPT to write your essay, I'm so sorry to disappoint you. That's not what's happening here. And then if you logged in and you're like, okay, well, what can I do? And you're feeling annoyed because we haven't gotten there yet. I hope you stayed in because now that's what we are going to talk about. So if you have some students who need to listen, now's the time to bring them in because we're going to talk about how you can actually use ChatGPT in your essays. And what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to actually share, I'm pulling up ChatGPT. Okay, let's talk about some really specific ways that you can use ChatGPT. So number one, brainstorming. I've done this with a lot of my students. So when we're early on in the process, a student's feeling really stuck. They have some ideas for an essay, but they're not really sure. Maybe they've got kind of a first paragraph. They don't really know where they want to go. use ChatGPT for brainstorming to give you some questions to help guide your writing to go a little bit deeper. So let's see. Okay. I drafted the first paragraph of what I would write if I were applying to college. I would probably write about working in a restaurant, a local restaurant bar kitchen. That was my entire life growing up. That's what I did. That's what I spent most of my time during my high school years, was working at the bar. And so that's probably what I would write about. I can't remember what I wrote about for my college essay, but if I was writing it now, that's what I'd write about. So I wrote a first paragraph. So I just copied and pasted that in to the ChatGPT prompt. And I'm going to put in a question. I'm going to say, what else do you want to know about this writer? Question mark. All right. And then I'm going to hit submit. Okay. So now it's thinking, and oh, look, here's a whole bunch of questions. It seems like the writer has a unique and interesting background working in a restaurant kitchen from a young age. Okay, great. So that's the overview that they've gotten from what I've written so far. So now I can say, okay, yep, that's kind of where I'm going. Great, we're on the same page. Here are some questions to learn more about their experience and perspective. And now here are a whole bunch of questions, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? They've given me 10 questions now that I could use to think about where else I want to go with this essay. What was the most rewarding aspect of this work? What was the most challenging? How did being the only girl working in the kitchen impact their experience and interaction with their colleagues? So, how did working in the kitchen at a young age shape their perspective on customer service and the value of hard work? Right. So, I can take now a few of these that really resonate with me and I can answer those. And that's going to potentially help keep me going when I'm feeling stuck with my writer's block. Okay. So, that's one way that you can use it. Another way that you can use ChatGPT, if you're a little further along in your essay, is you can put the essay in and then you could ask, what 3 words describe the writer? All right. So now here are 3 words that, according to ChatGPT, this is how I am coming across. I am persistent, I am experienced, and I am resilient. Well, I feel very seen. Thank you, ChatGPT. That was very affirming for me, very validating. Yes, I am all of those things, right? And so now I can do a little bit of a gut check. I can say, okay, yes, that's what I'm going for in this essay. Okay, I'm coming across the way that I want to come across. This is what the college admissions readers are likely going to feel when they're reading my essay. They're going to get that these are the qualities I'm trying to put forth. Or on the flip side, you might see these 3 things and say, oh, whoa, nope, that's not what I was going for. And then you can revise a little bit, right? So this is a good way to check your message. Are you matching what you are trying to put out there? Okay, so those are a few different options for the personal essay. You also can use ChatGPT to help you when you're getting stuck on some of those supplemental essays. Why us essays, especially if you're feeling stuck on those, ChatGPT can be really helpful for those because, again, they're going to be doing a lot of research out on kind of all the data that they can find on the internet about the school that you're putting in and then summarizing it for you about some key specific points. So if I said, okay, I am interested, I want to major in neuroscience and go to medical school, and I love to volunteer, right? A few things about me that I want and maybe in my college experience. Why should I attend ECU? East Carolina University, public school here in North Carolina. Boom. Okay, here's a whole bunch of great information about ECU that's specifically related to what I said was important to me. There are opportunities for community engagement. There are great research opportunities. They have a medical school affiliation. They have some fabulous pre-med advising. So now I have an idea of, okay, these might be some key things that might make ECU a really good fit for me. That's going to help me hone my research a little bit. Now I can go to ECU's website and I can learn a little bit more about that pre-med advising, right? And then I can talk about how that's going to be a really good fit for me and why. Or I can talk about the volunteer opportunities maybe that are coming up, right? So these are some things that you can put in. But again, you're only going to get back information that's as good as how you prompt ChatGPT. So if you're looking, so the more specific you can be about what you're looking for, the stronger the response is going to be. So when it comes to writing your essay, right, we are not looking for a bot to write our essay. But what we are looking for is to use this wonderful, amazing technology. Why would we not want to use the latest technology that's available? In what other area of our lives does new technology come out and we all say, oh, no, I don't want that, right? We get excited about it. We embrace it. This is no different, but we just have to be thoughtful about how we're using it. A couple of quick points about colleges. So if you're listening or if your student's listening and saying, yeah, but like I'm still freaking out because I have applications that are due in less than a month and I'm just going to put it through ChatGPT. So two things that are really important that you need to keep in mind. One is that when your student submits their Common application, right before they officially submit and everything's really exciting and the application submitted, they have to click to agree to 5 affirmations every single time before they submit the application. The very first affirmation states, I certify that all information submitted in the application process, including this application and other supporting materials, essays, is my own work. So if we're being honest and having integrity, and we're letting ChatGPT do all of the work and write the essay, and you're just copying and pasting it into the Common App, then you cannot, in good conscience, check that box, right? Another thing to keep in mind, like I was saying about a few specific individual schools are going to have their own, or individual schools are going to have their own policies and statements about using AI and ChatGPT. We're starting to see those in college applications and the Common App, as well as some of the honors applications that our students are working on. One of the ones that stood out, the first was one of the first that I noticed and stood out to me is College of Charleston. So I'm going to read you theirs. This is in their Common application. And they say, at the College of Charleston, we prepare our students for the rapidly changing world. We celebrate that artificial intelligence and ChatGPT are readily available tools. If you choose to use either in your writing of your essay, please ensure it was used to support your essay and not write it for you. So if we're getting back to that original slide of kind of what are the rules, right? Again, like I said, it's a little bit of the Wild West right now. There aren't explicit hard rules across the board for every single school. But from my perspective, the statement, the very first affirmation from the Common App, and then College of Charleston's statement pretty much sums it up, right? At the end of the day, all of the work should be your own. And if you're going to use a tool to support you, that's completely fine. But just make sure that the work is something that you personally have created. And in the end, that's what's going to give you the best possible essay anyway, right? Because as I've said before, this is all about you and you're fabulous. And so don't lose your opportunity to be able to share who you are. So I want to open up now to questions in case anyone has any questions. In the meantime, as people are thinking about those, I wanted to also highlight a few resources on our website. So Advantage College Planning, advcp.com. We have so many resources there. We have different webinars that you can link to. Some of them are recorded, but we also have my colleague Jamie's blog, The Inside Scoop. It's fabulous. If you are not reading her blog, if you're not getting our updates when blogs come out and reading her blog, you're really missing out. Her most recent blog post was entitled, Should I Use ChatGPT to Write My College Essay? Fabulous, fantastic, highly recommend that you read her blog. The second fabulous resource that we have on our website is my colleague Ariel's podcast, College Planning Simplified. If you're a podcast person, go ahead and add that. You can find that wherever you find your podcast. You can subscribe. She interviews us, but then she also, and other admissions people kind of on our side of the desk, but then she also interviews directors of admission at different universities. And she's going to have an interview coming up with a director of admission from a large institution here in the South about ChatGPT. So keep your eyes out for that. So if you follow if you follow her podcast, you'll get the alert when that drops. So if this is interesting to you, we've got a couple resources there. But that's the overview. So there's really no explicit rule, but really let's make sure that we're using integrity and trusting yourself as a student, trusting yourself as a person, that you can tell your story, and what you're capable of doing is going to be great. Don't start doubting yourself now, right? It's a slippery slope. You're amazing. Trust yourself. I will be back on October 8th, and we'll be shifting gears a little bit and talking about setting first semester goals. So while the seniors, their goals are just to get these college applications in, so that's where they're living. But all of our younger students are focused on setting those first semester goals so that they can really make the most of the first few months of this school year, academically and personally, so that they're laying a strong foundation that they'll continue to build off of as they progress through high school. So that will be our topic on the 8th. But thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's always so fun to do these events. I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend and you have a great start to your week. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.